Hello, my name is Gregory Scott and this is your astrology forecast for February 2016. Thank you for joining me. A couple of things going on this month. I'll give you a rundown of the astrology and how that's going to influence you. The first thing I noticed is that Venus, your ruler, is in Capricorn in the 4th house, and that sextiles Neptune, which is in Pisces in your 6th house on the first day of February. What that says to me is that you're going to be working really hard at your relationships, your family relationships. You're also going to be doing very well in your working life. You're very earnest and diligent at the moment. On the 1st of February particularly, I think you'll be interested in doing the right thing, being of service, genuinely helping people. And humility is a very unpopular word, but you're really kind of looking at doing things for the right reason. So you've got a lot to feel good about on the 1st of February. On the 2nd of February, Venus, still in Capricorn, starts to square Uranus, which is in your 7th house. So what that shows me is that there starts to be a link or a little bit of a clash between what you're working on so much for other people and what you want to do for yourself. So you become a little less kind of other focused and you look at yourself a little bit more. Again, very serious. You take relationships quite seriously at the beginning of February, whereas often you can be very social and enjoy kind of, you know, very transient, very kind of sociable, bubbly, frothy relationships. At the beginning of this month, I think you'll take it very seriously and you'll be very interested in relationships that have some depth and meaning to them. On the 3rd of February, Moon and Saturn, Uranus and the Sun in your midheaven, they combine to form what I call a triangle of harmony. It's a trine and 2 sextiles. And that's between your communication, and your own communication now comes to the forefront. And that really informs what you're wanting to achieve to help other people. So even though, I mean, it's a long way around of saying the same thing really, you're still focused on others, even though you're now focusing on yourself. So, okay, it's not that complicated. On the 1st of the month, you were really, your main focus was other people. Then as 2nd and 3rd of February roll around, you become more interested in your own message, but your own message is helping others anyway. So you're really focused on putting everything you possibly can into being there for other people and helping others. That is a really good attitude to have. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, because you're adding value to the lives of other people, and the odds are that people will add value back into your life. So you're building yourself wonderful energy there at the beginning of the month. On the 4th of February, a grand cross occurs in the sky, and a grand cross is when 4 squares connect to create this big square. And that's usually leaves you feeling somewhat frazzled and like you're being pushed and pulled in lots of different directions. Spirituality will be a concern, education will be, feeling like work needs sorting out as well, and family situation maybe being a bit chaotic on this day. So you're really going to have a lot going on. What I would urge you to do on the 4th of February, and I would suggest, so you're really kind to yourself. You go into the day realizing that you can't solve every life problem in one day, and that you just allow yourself the space and time to focus on one thing at a time. So really try and keep it simple on that day. On the 5th of February, there is a T-square which connects Jupiter and Chiron, and that peaks with your rising in Gemini. And this is interesting because I get the sense that work isn't so fulfilling now. I think you're really focusing on the spiritual side of things. And I feel like at the beginning of February, you were living those principles of being of service to other people. But you're not so focused on doing that through your day-to-day routine. I think spirituality explicitly as a theme becomes more of a topic, and you become interested in learning more. So whether you read the Bhagavad Gita, or you start going to a different church, or you look at what other spiritual practices there are, the 5th is going to be excellent for you in terms of spirituality, especially finding something that really resonates with you and the real you. There's a yod that happens on the 6th of February, which is also known as the finger of God, and that has very karmic implications. That can really shift your life in such a way that it has a long-term massive impact. It connects Mars, which then quincunxes your rising in your 10th, in your 9th. And then you've got Venus, which quincunxes your rising in your 9th, and they form this finger, okay? So Mars is the archetypal male principle, Venus is the archetypal female principle. When you put those two together, you get new energy, new life anyway. But when they connect here with this rising in the 9th, you're totally aligned with exploring spirituality, exploring the world on a spiritual level, not on a physical level. You can do that, certainly, but I think you're going to be much more interested in exploring the unseen higher realms, okay? So spirituality is your main focus. And on this day, the 5th was great for that already, but on the 6th here, you can discover a practice, a daily practice, a spirituality that will be there for the rest of your life. I practice transcendental meditation, not as consistently as I should, but I did a refresher class and I went there and there was a whole kind of part of town that was occupied by people who are TM practitioners. And those people must have discovered TM as well at some point in their life, and they stuck to it, and now they've shifted their lives around that. So that's what I'm talking about. It's the kind of meaningful discovery of a spirituality that's really becomes an important feature in your life. There's the potential for that on the 6th of February. On the 8th, again, along very similar lines, we've got a new moon occurring in Aquarius. The new moon is when the sun and the moon conjunct. They're 2 degrees away from each other here, and it's when the moon looks totally black. It pulls in new energy, it's like a vacuum, and it pulls in Aquarius energy, which is very much about being of service to other people, helping humanity. And the information that you get is also spiritual in nature, but the midheaven is next to it, so this is linked to your work. So you will get ideas and understanding in a spiritual sense, not about spirituality, but about how you can improve your working life. So really make a note of what you get on the 8th, it's going to be important. The moon and Chiron, they conjunct on the 10th of February, and then they oppose Jupiter and the moon. Jupiter is good luck and it's growth. It's in your 12th house of spirituality, and it's in there all month. So you're going to feel that spiritual quality all month. It's going to be really, really important to you. When Chiron and the moon combine, it's feelings of ease and comfort and really getting vulnerable and truthful with yourself. And Chiron can be painful feelings. So you're really, really honest about what's going on for you. You know, I'm just a human being on a planet that I know nothing about. I was brought here. The crazy stuff happens here. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it seems like an insane asylum. What is the purpose of it? You know, and when you come from that really honest place, because of the truth of it, and I'm sorry, anyone who's like a religious figure or who thinks they have it all figured out, I completely disagree, because I think fundamentally on that level, we all have no idea what's going on, and we all look for guidance and spirituality and religion to give us a sense of certainty. And people do that because it's very uncomfortable to just float around thinking, what the hell's going on here? So if you get honest with yourself about that, the good luck of Jupiter will support you, will assist you, and again, it will lead you to a discovery through information, either through other people or through reading a book or through getting an email that comes out of the blue. You will be exposed to something, you will find something that becomes a very meaningful and purposeful practice, spiritual connection in your life. And I mean, that's really what I hope for everybody, because I don't know about you, but I haven't always been personally a very spiritual or religious person. I mean, I grew up in a Christian environment like a lot of people. It didn't mesh with me, it didn't work for me because it was exclusive. I felt rejected by it. I rejected it in turn. You know, when you're a teenager, tit for tat, they do this to me, therefore I will do that. And then I kind of luckily had a moment where I had to find something bigger than myself, and that's really changed my whole life. So the fact that you have this opportunity to find something, a spiritual practice that's really meaningful, I think that is really the best thing that can happen to anybody. Because when you build a connection with that, your life automatically gets better. On the 12th of February, Chiron has been quincunxing your rising sign, and it stops that on the 12th. So the sense of vulnerability closes up a bit. So do the spiritual research, do the finding, do the discovery before the 12th. It becomes more difficult to really get to the deepest, darkest inner place, because we don't operate like that on a day-to-day basis. If we did, we wouldn't get anything done. On the 13th, the moon starts to square Mercury and Venus. The moon is now in Taurus in the 8th house, and the moon and Mercury are in your 4th house of family. So what you're concerned about again now is other people, taking care of other people, and you kind of return to the first few days of February in terms of what your focus is. So it's everything here this month is connection to others, connection to spirit. It's you in connection with something else. And that's an interesting perspective to have, because when you look at yourself from your place among others or among the universe, it gives you a much greater insight into who you really are. The 14th of February sees Mercury going into Aquarius. And for you, that's lovely because it's Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, and Mercury is the communication planet. It goes into your 5th house of romance and children, so it becomes very, very easy for you to communicate in a romantic, personal way. And then Mercury stays in that sector for the rest of the month. So literally on the 14th, romance and love goes from a 6 to a 10, and that becomes the best, most positive theme in your chart here in the month, nicely timed as well, and then it stays there for the end of the month. On the 14th as well, there's a grand trine in Earth in the chart, and a grand trine is always a great talent or an area of ease. And when it's in Earth, you can take practical action quite easily. And this is in very personable houses. It's in the 12th, it's in the 8th, and it's in the 4th. So you can really communicate with people and take action in such a way that you put people at ease, you fit into what their expectations are, and you can really blend in nicely with other people, so you come across very well. So on the 14th of February, go on a date, Go for a meal if you're already in a relationship. Do something where you can really connect with another person. It'll really please you and give you a lot of positive feelings. On the 16th of February, the moon starts to oppose Saturn. Now, the moon is really on a soul level what nurtures you and what feels comfortable. And in Gemini, it kind of matches your rising, which has been up there in Gemini for a long time. You are very comfortable and you're very much into discovering new things and researching and exploring for yourself this month. The moon opposes Saturn in your 3rd, and everything that you believe, everything that you communicate up to this point and the structure of your thinking, really the potential for that to change fundamentally is massive. So earlier in the month, I already mentioned that there was a huge day for that with the yod occurring, but now on the 16th there's another huge day, for that to appear. So the best things that occur for you really in February so far here is the opportunity for spiritual growth. Wow. On the 17th of February, Venus, the planet of love and beauty, moves into Aquarius, and that also moves into your 5th house of romance and children. So things in that sector went to a 10. On Valentine's Day, they go to an 11 out of 10 now, with Venus going into that sector. And really, if you apply yourself and if you work at finding love, if you're single, or if you work at making your relationship really romantic and loving, if you're already in a relationship, the sky's the limit as far as you're concerned this month with romance. That's really where you shine. The moon and the ascendant, they also begin to square Jupiter and the North Node. So romance is great, but in the background and still ongoing as a theme is this discovery for spirituality. And on this day particularly, there's a blending and there's a meshing of that. So love, romance, sexuality, spirituality become intertwined, and then we're talking things like Kundalini yoga and sexual healing and that whole kind of realm of things. And if you're a practitioner of that kind of practice, or if you're into that, or if you're seeking, that's going to be an amazing day when the two really combine. Because fundamentally, a lot of people have a disconnect between the sexual and the spiritual. The spiritual seems pure and, you know, divinely ordained, and it's quiet and peaceful. And then the sexual is completely carnal, and it's crazy, and it's uncontrollable, and it feels completely overwhelming. And those two worlds don't often meet. So they'll meet on the 17th, and it may just be that you're with someone and you have this spiritual experience by being with them. You know, something that you've never had. A real opening of your own perspective, which is beautiful. On the 19th, there's a kite in the chart, and that's literally something that takes flight here. And this is, again, your feelings, your love, as a result of your practical actions, both in a physical, interpersonal way and a spiritual way, is elevated and heightened and really takes off. So, wow. I mean, you really have an amazing, blissful month ahead of you where you can really experience unbelievable highs that you've never experienced. On the 20th, the moon opposes Mercury and Venus. And the moon is in your 11th house in Leo at this time of the month on the 20th of February. So you will feel completely lit up. You will feel passionate, you will feel alive, you will feel on fire. And that's as a direct result of your communication with spirit and communication with another human being, or one or the other. But it will seem like the two are interchangeable. So wow, so the feeling kind of continues from the 19th through to the 20th. Then on the 21st, there's a grand trine here, again in fire. Major passion, major enthusiasm, a major feeling of aliveness. So these 3 days, so far in terms of the signs that I've done for February, you really skyrocket past anything that any of the other signs experience, because you really just, it's not just, you know, chocolates and a dinner on Valentine's Day with someone you think is okay. It's really like a life-changing experience here in terms of love and sex and spirituality. It's really a powerful, powerful month. And that's just the way things line up for you in February. So this grand trine, again, ease and talent, so you will feel fired up and alive on the 21st. Look out for those 3 days, 19th, 20th, 21st. On the 22nd, the full moon happens. And the full moon is a culmination of energy. It comes to fruition. So the Pisces sun, the spiritual sun, shines its light on the very earthy, practical Virgo moon. And that's really encapsulates this whole month for you. The physical, practical versus the spiritual and unmanifest. Coming together, forming this thing, and it blossoms. So all of these themes I've talked about really just come alive and blossom, and yeah, like a flower opening. They appear in your life. And also the full moon in Virgo is in your 12th house of spirituality. So they do full moon meditations. I mean, I live in Glastonbury in the UK, and there are evenings and gatherings held for these kind of events. If they don't do something like that in your local area, they do them on Facebook, they do them online. And whenever you, even if you're sitting alone in your bedroom, but if you meditate at a specific time that other people meditate at, you connect with those people on a spiritual level. So do something like that. Make some time on the 22nd to just connect with your spirituality. I don't think you will have had enough of it by now. It's hugely transformative this month for you, so really get in touch with it and enjoy the blending of these energies. It really doesn't happen every day. And really see how this shapes you. On the 24th, the moon conjuncts Jupiter and the North Node in Virgo in your 12th house. So Jupiter is good luck and growth. That's in your house of spirituality as a result of practical action. The North Node is what you're trying to achieve in your life right now. And the moon is really your soul level, what feels comfortable. All of those are in your 12th house of spirituality, so that feels very much at ease for you. So it's not just from the 19th to the 21st, it really, from the 19th to the 24th, it stretches out, and it's really a blissful time for you. The 26th sees the moon squaring Uranus, okay? And this is one of your family relationships will raise its head and someone will want something from you. Someone will either ask you to help them move, or will help them with a job application, or will help them make something, maybe redecorate or something like that. But the 26 is you're going to be needed by someone else. So all of this inner stuff that's been going on is kind of shifted now, and you've got other stuff going on. I didn't express that very well. But the focus is no longer on the inner world and the spiritual awakening and delight. You're going to be asked to do something mundane by another person, something outside of you, external to you. The 28th of February sees another grand trine in the chart, and that's in water. And this is totally shifting gears now, and you feel intuitively, you have an idea of how to help people through your work. Really make a note of that. This is the best day you've had so far career-wise, because I don't get any major upheavals in terms of your finances. I think it's pretty steady, but I think in terms of your career in future, you have an idea that can really take you places now on the 28th. It's important to make a note of these ideas, because often we dismiss our own ideas as just like, okay, there we go, another idea. But people who act on their ideas, they end up with the patents and the books and all of these things that really become successes. Finally, it's a leap year, so we've got 29 days this February, and on this last day of the month, you've got the Moon and Mars sitting in Scorpio in your second house. And the focus shifts now for you, and it becomes focused on finances and money. And I think the spiritual stuff, you've come to peace with that, and you've kind of made sense with it, and you look at how you can use this idea that you had on the 28th to really be of service and to help others through your work. So that's a really culmination of this spiritual knowledge and experience, because it will have taught you that the most gracious and wonderful thing you can do is to help other people. And it sounds like you're then putting that into practice at the end of the month. So that's what I get for you for February. I hope that gives you something to go on. If you'd like a private reading with me, either about your money or your career or spirituality or family or love or romance, then please visit my website. It's gregoryscott.com. I've had a new website put on there. I'm really proud of it. Have a look. Click on readings to book your reading with me. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next month.